Oh, it's the handouts, yeah.
Come on in, guys. Everybody back in. They already know what the Capitol looks like. They don't need to see the blueprint. Are we ready? Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Eric Pratt. I'm the senator for Scott County, so Senate District 55. And just wanted to talk to you about a bill that we've got coming up in the Senate Jobs Committee today. No one's been hurt. Everybody's been hurt throughout the pandemic. I don't know that there's a sector of our society that you can't say has been affected. And one of the areas that's been most affected has been our small business community. Now, the unemployment system is there to protect working Minnesotans who are laid off. And Senate File 2677 will be allocating $2.73 billion to pay off a debt that we owe to the federal government. The interest that we owe on that debt, we're accruing about $50,000 in interest today. And then to reallocate and build back up that reserve to a point that it becomes self-sustainable. And I'm really pleased to be joined with by some of my co-authors, Senator Rarick, Representative Pawlowski, and Representative Haley. This is a bipartisan bill that's very close to what the governor has proposed, and that's great because we've been talking about it all interim, and glad we could come together. Well, I'll just turn it over to Representative Pawlowski right now and let him say a few words.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Senator Pratt. I'm Representative Gene Pawlowski. You see 4 Republicans and 1 Democrat up here, and in southeastern Minnesota, that's considered bipartisan. That's about as close as we get. I like to do about 1 press conference every decade, so this is my decade press conference. And this conference, I am hopeful we will start a trend. And the trend will be we'll address a critical issue, as Representative Pratt has said. This has to be paid back or our businesses get a tax increase. We have not recovered from the pandemic, but we're making huge strides. Secondly, I'd like to bring up that this bill should pass all by itself and not wait till the end of session, not be part of an omnibus bill. It should be a single bill on the floor of the House and Senate so that the members of the House and Senate, for once, can understand what we're voting on. And the public can understand what we're voting on, and hopefully the governor can understand what he's signing into law. So I think there are 2 opportunities here. One, to address what we now know is a common need. And the common need is we borrowed about $1.2 billion. We don't pay it back. Our businesses get an unwarranted tax increase. Secondly, it's time to return to a legislature where individual bills are brought up on the House floor and sent to the governor. So again, I want to thank Senator Pratt for giving me that opportunity in the House. And I think Representative Haley is next, or is it Senator?
Representative Rarick's going to go.
Thank you, everyone. Senator Jason Rarick from District 11. And one of the things I want to talk about with this, there's a lot of discussion about doing this for our small businesses. Now, this is both about our businesses and our workers. This fund was there for our workers when they got laid off. But there's no better way to kill our job growth coming out of this recession than to have this tax go on our small businesses. That is going to keep them from hiring people back. They will not be able to afford it because it's based on their payroll. So this is for both the workers and for our small businesses especially. We have to get people back to work. They want to get back to work, but our businesses, and I think some of the stories we'll hear reflect that these small businesses especially just will not be able to hire back the same number of people that they had prior because this payroll tax will just be too much of a burden. And many of them, they don't have HR programs or payroll that have given them a heads up that this new expense is coming. This is going to be a shock to many of these small businesses when they see the price tag that's going to come. So now I'll turn it over to Representative Haley.
Well, good morning. I'm Representative Barb Haley. I represent the beautiful part of the state, similar to Representative Pulowski, Red Wing, Lake City, Cannon Falls, District 21A. I'm pleased to join Senator Pratt in this effort. We've been working on this since late fall, and we also have a committee hearing today in the House. So I'm a co-author on the Senate bill as well. I'd like to point out what a unique opportunity we have today. The governor has come out repeatedly and said that he supports the repayment of the UI trust fund deficit. We're all in alignment on the amount of money that will take, $2.73 billion. The Commissioner of Deed, Commissioner Grove, is also in alignment on this, and the Senate and the House, Democrats and Republicans have been working together. So what a unique opportunity to have a bipartisan effort to do the right thing, and frankly, to do it now. As Representative Pulowski stated, if we don't get this fund, the debt repaid, and we don't restore the fund to solvency and restore the reserves, these businesses are going to be hit with a large tax increase. Our businesses across the state, large and small, are still trying to recover from this pandemic. They are searching for workers, and they're still struggling with supply chain issues. This is not a time where they should have a significant tax increase in this first quarter, particularly a tax increase that is no fault of their own. We know this is the result of the pandemic and the result of Minnesota doing the right thing to support our workers. And if we don't restore the fund to solvency, in effect, we are harming workers because that fund won't be there to support them if we have unemployment issues down the road. So this is a worker bill. Restore the fund to solvency, pay off the debt, and ensure that we have this safety net in place going forward. I'm proud to be part of this effort. I urge us all to continue our bipartisan work and pass this right away because it's needed. It's good government, and the time to act is now. Thanks very much for the opportunity to be here this morning. And I'm not sure who's next.
I think we got Laura going.
Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Schotthorst, and I'm the Director of Workplace Management and Workforce Development Policy for the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. I'm speaking today on behalf of the more than 6,300 businesses our organization represents, and their more than 500,000 employees, but also on behalf of our Federation partners, which represents 21,000 businesses and 43 local chambers of commerce, the Minnesota Manufacturers Association, which represents a wide range of individual manufacturing associations from around the state, and the United for Jobs Coalition, which represents nearly 80 organizations and their hundreds of thousands of employees. I'm joined by some of these colleagues and businesses here today. We are here to ask that the legislature take immediate action to stabilize and restore Minnesota's UI Trust Fund and hold Minnesota businesses harmless from the double-digit UI tax increases associated with the COVID-19 pandemic that are due in just a few short weeks. You'll hear stories today about what these payroll taxes actually look like. One organization in the Twin Cities with less than 50 employees will see a nearly 53% increase. An engineering firm in the 7-county metro area will see a $90,000 increase from what they are currently paying. An excavating company from Greater Minnesota, who already pays over $100,000 a year in UI taxes, will see their bill go up by tens of thousands of additional dollars. Private sector businesses are Minnesota's economic engine, providing opportunity and a quality of life for citizens across our state. They have weathered a nearly 2-year storm of uncertainty, taking every step possible to keep their operations afloat and to keep their employees and customers safe, healthy, and employed. They continue to grapple with a disrupted supply chain, inflation, and the worst workforce shortage in a generation. Employers statewide are in fierce competition for workers. This means they are already increasing wages, enhancing benefits, providing tuition assistance, training, professional development, greater employee flexibility, remote work, childcare subsidies, signing bonuses, and more. Double-digit payroll tax increases make offering those enhancements and hiring workers that much more challenging. And this is entirely avoidable. With the benefit of our budget surplus and unspent federal relief funds, Minnesota can finally do what nearly half of other states have already done: fix their UI system. Make sure that businesses can focus their resources on making sure they're staying open, rebuilding and rehiring, and growing. But time is of the essence. We want to thank the representatives standing here today for making unemployment insurance fix a priority. This is critical as we work to create economic opportunity and a full recovery. A complete and a clean bill to prevent this payroll tax increase from going into effect should be among the first order of businesses in this legislature. These efforts, as you've heard, support workers, support businesses, and benefit our entire economy. I'd say that's a no-brainer. Thank you.
I'm going to say good afternoon. I heard some good mornings and some good afternoons, and I see it's 12:10, so I'm going to go with good afternoon. My name is Matt Baumgartner, and I serve as the president of the Duluth Area Chamber of Commerce. And I read the papers every day, I read things online every day, and we keep seeing workforce as a central tenet to this year's session. And this, to me, is the workforce issue today. I'm here today to share the personal testimony of two employers in my community in northeastern Minnesota. Both businesses wanted to be here today, but due to the constraints of their job, and as Senator Rarick said, the inability to kind of expand their workforce, they were unable to make the trip down 35. It was a smooth trip, but they were unable to make the trip. These locally owned businesses shared with me their concerns, and so I've formatted those into some brief remarks today. The first business is Mainstream Fashions, and it's a retail storefront in downtown Duluth on Superior Street. They've been there for 31 years through many ups and downs. They've been there through the rise of e-commerce, through 4 years of construction on our Superior Street where their storefront is, and they've been there through COVID-19, where they had to have their doors closed for a significant amount of that. And yet now, at a time when our state has an abundant surplus, they face the reality that if we don't resolve this by March 15th, they will face an additional tax hike. And this is one of those small businesses that wasn't even aware of this until it was brought to their attention. They're not big enough to have seen that coming through their HR or payroll departments. This is a business where you meet with the owners, Ben and Tom. The experience that Ben and Tom provide includes wrapping, personal, tailoring, delivery, and everything in between. They value long-term relationships and know everyone by name. Additionally, they support many charitable and community causes year after year, and I share that piece of it because this isn't just about owners losing their business and employees losing their jobs, but it's that residual and ripple effect in a community where you lose people who are donating to nonprofits, to hockey teams, to tournaments, and to other fundraisers. If the UI Trust Fund is not refreshed by March 15th and a new tax is levied against our small businesses, then I fear that downtown Duluth will lose businesses like Mainstream. The other business that wanted to be here today but could not is Grandma's Restaurant Company. I had a chance to talk to company president Brian Doherty yesterday for a significant amount of time. And this is a business that's near and dear to me because I worked there for nearly 15 years, 14 and a half years. And for many of those years, I had P&L responsibilities. I share that tidbit of information because I saw the slim margins that hospitality businesses deal with. And some years there weren't even margins to even look at. The pandemic has been brutal on grandmas. Layoffs, closures, restructuring of business models, yet through their improvisation, creativity, and resilience, they've adapted to keep most of their operations open, keyword most. Now as winter turns to spring and they're able to look ahead, hopefully, to a somewhat normal summer, the news out of St. Paul is that there might be a new tax placed upon them, and this is devastating. Grandma's is attempting to return to a sustainable business again. With all the disruptions and uncertainties still ahead, they need the state's creativity and wise leadership. This tax does not seem helpful or fair to a business and the hospitality industry that, by has most accounts, borne the brunt of the unfortunate but necessary pandemic-related decisions. Please help Brian and Grandma's keep their operations open. Some are hanging on by a thread. I wanted to share the personal testimony of two of our employers, Mainstream and Grandma's, because this should not be a political, partisan issue that becomes a bargaining chip. Let's put faces to these businesses so that those who might not support refreshing the UI Trust Fund know who they are hurting. This should be a slam dunk. As Lauren said, a no-brainer. Small businesses continue to suffer, and we think that we might not be providing them with the relief that many in St. Paul support, including those here today, and the governor, is disappointing. Yet I remain resolute because I believe that those standing here today will prevail and the right thing will be done. We will refresh the UI Trust Fund. Thank you for your time today.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Hagstrom, and I run a classical and Christian K-12 school in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. And our unemployment insurance tax went up 450%. I am not exaggerating. It went from $6,000 to $33,000. And it takes effect immediately, according to the letter we received. And it's in the middle of our budget year, so we couldn't have planned for this even if we had wanted to. This is affecting businesses across the board, both large and small, both for-profit and not-for-profit. An increase of that level is detrimental to businesses, many of which have already experienced hardships and loss through the result of government-mandated shutdowns and government-mandated COVID policies, inflation, labor shortages, and now high cost of labor as a result. At Liberty, our families are paying taxes already, and they're sacrificing to try to give their children a better education. So an unemployment insurance tax for us is going to affect their bottom line as well. So what does an increase of that nature look like for our school? Well, it means significant hits to otherwise valuable resources for our classrooms, whether it's the loss of an important aide position or necessary curriculum, supplies, and even a part-time teacher. The irony here is that our staff and faculty have remained employed throughout the pandemic, and yet we're being punished by the poor choices at the state and federal levels. The state has received billions of dollars related to this pandemic for both the CARES Act and through the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan. I'm told that Minnesota is currently experiencing an historic $7.7 billion surplus. Why would we not use that money to replenish the unemployment insurance trust fund rather than asking the business community to do that for them? We want answers and resolution as to why this is not happening, but I'm happy to hear today for the first time that there is support from Governor Walz to do this and to move forward. So I ask that they would still do that and that there would not be gouging of businesses who sometimes I think people think there are never-ending resources of money. We know that that's not true, and so we hope and encourage our legislature to use the $7.7 billion surplus. That's exactly what it was intended for. So I just wanted to speak today on behalf of some of these businesses to put a face to the actual impact that it's making. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Gruhat, and I represent D&G Excavating out of Marshall, Minnesota. I did not prepare any formal statement for you today, but I wanted to give you some real numbers. When I got the letter from unemployment indicating there would be a 14% increase, there's another part of the letter that stated that the threshold, the bottom line of wages that would be taxable, was going to increase as well. So it's not only about the 14% increase, but also that the taxable amount will now increase to $38,000. So combined, for our company, we already paid, for last year, we paid $109,000 to unemployment. The nature of our business, the fact that we dig dirt, we can't do that in the winter. So we are high utilizers of unemployment. I did run the numbers using the new $38,000 base wage, as well as the 14% increase on top of that. And we will be faced with an additional tax payable of $26,159.17 if I base that on last year's wages. That is an increase of 24%. So yes, I am here without a prepared statement, just to join forces and to give you a face to the real situation, encouraging everybody to get on board with these bills and get it passed for the tax relief.
Hello, my name is Kelton Glevy with Roadwear Incorporated in South St. Paul. We're a small manufacturer. We went from a garage startup to a business with 10 employees in about 20 years. And we've never actually laid off anybody in our company history. But the thing is, when COVID hit and the lockdowns came and business dropped down to nothing, we had to make a lot of tough choices. Do we lay people off, put them on unemployment, or we do everything we can to keep them employed, keep them going, make those personal sacrifices to keep your employees, which are so important to have going, and that's what we did. And so we were never a big user of unemployment insurance and never had to really have a claim. And so now I'm feeling like we're going to raise these rates and all those things. That's something that I've really never had any part of. We didn't lay people off. We keep people going. And that's so important with a lot of labor issues nowadays, that if you lose your employees, they're so hard to replace. And so we treat them all like family, and that's kind of my statement for today is there's a lot of businesses out there that have done everything they can to keep their employees, never laid anyone off, but we're still all going to have to be paid this higher tax on unemployment, and it's not great for us because, like I said, we're facing the same challenges as everyone else. So that's my statement. Thanks.
Well, thank you, and as you can tell, this is a very important issue to many of our business owners. We heard last week in the Jobs Committee that if we don't do this, it will take us over a decade to repay the debt and bring our reserve back up to a sustainable level. It's important for these small businesses and businesses across the state to get this done. We need to get done, as Representative Pawlowski said, we need to get done what we can get done and where we can agree today and pass a standalone clean bill and get it to the governor's desk as quickly as possible. Because every day we're racking up additional interest that's not helping workers, it's not helping business people, and it's not even helping the state finances. It's going straight to the federal government. And I hope we can get this done today. We're going to pass it out of the Senate committee. I'm expecting it's going to be a bipartisan bill in the Senate, just like it's going to be a bipartisan bill in the House. And I think we'll all be willing to take questions. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Just a quick clarification, because the Chamber's one-pager and some of the speakers mentioned the federal COVID relief funds. Are you tapping some of that money for this bill, or just the surplus in general that you're using to backfill?
I'm not exactly sure where the different monies are coming from. Suffice it to say that we've got plenty of money to make this whole. Yeah.
Can I ask Chair Pawlowski a question?
Sure.
I know you do not like this being linked to other issues. You already said that, as maybe some in your caucus have been suggesting. But can you respond to something else that's being said by some of your caucus mates, which is that there should be a way to only give this relief to medium and small-sized businesses, that perhaps there should be something done via the rates to not forgive or reduce this planned increase on sort of the proverbial big corporation?
Those members don't represent, as I do, and I'm sure the other members who are up here with me, I represent both large and small businesses. They all get hit. They all provide employment. They all pay taxes, and we rely on them to make, for instance, we're known as a regional center. We have some very large businesses. We have some nice small, what we would call midtown businesses. But everybody gets hit by this. So the members who are saying that, I wish they would take a little reality check here, that if a big business gets hit, it also means jobs, and it could also mean in a supply chain that is already stressed, not getting critical supply parts where we need them.
Could I take that too from a business perspective? So regarding small, medium, and large businesses, we have hospitality businesses across the state, Grandma's being one of them, that employs over 600 in the summertime. And so they might classify as a medium-sized business, but yet had to lay off most of their workforce. In fact, at the beginning of the pandemic, we were down to about 15 people. So they were hit very hard by this at the beginning, and then if we scale it in a way where they would not be considered, there's no support for them there. So I think there maybe is some education that could take place to show that I don't know that the size of the business is what is the cause and effect of how hard they were hit by certain pandemic elements.
Senator, you said that this bill is almost like the governor's. I mean, it sounds like there might be some differences, though. Could you outline those? Or if there's a different approach or difference in the approach? It sounds
No,
like the numbers are the same.
we're just working on the technical language, but we're in agreement on exactly what we want to do. We want to repay the debt to the federal government, including the interest, and we want to replenish the fund and set all the tax rates back to where they were in 2021.
Is the technical changes or things you need to sort out just what pot of money it comes from? Because you've got some leftover COVID funds plus the surplus plus maybe something in reserve accounts. Is that the hangup?
It's minor hangups. It's not even where the money's coming from. It's just very small tweaks, and we'll get it worked out. No problem.
Senator, it
Yeah.
sounds like March 15th is when this takes effect, right, this tax?
The taxes actually kicked in at the first of the year. They're
Okay.
payable in April. But the plan, as Deed has laid it out, repays the interest, the debt, and replenishes up to a sufficient level, is all tied to that March 15th date.
So is March 15th the kind of the drop dead date to pass something, or does it need to be sooner than that?
March 15th is the drop dead date for the governor to sign it. So we have to get it passed before that. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to get it passed by the end of February.
Is the danger then that other things might get added, and so it just gets bogged down in the legislative process?
Well, there's always that risk, but what you hear from me and what you hear from Representative Pawlowski is we're committed to having a clean bill. The governor's been asking for a clean bill, so I think we ought to get him one.
You'll have to get agreement with the Democrats in the House as well. I mean, is there anything you could pass this as a clean bill? Could you maybe make a deal on frontline worker checks, some of the other things that they want to see passed early? And there's been some discussions on already.
There's a lot of agreement on the frontline worker checks. The fact is, we could have had some of that done and come back and done the rest. It got held up by the House, and I hope they don't hold this, the House leadership doesn't hold this up again. No offense, Gene, but.
No.
But we could have got the healthcare workers done last fall, and we could have come back once we found out about the surplus, and we could have talked about more. But instead, it got held up, and I hope there's not an appetite by House leadership to hold this up. This is way too important.
Senator, will you do anything to the threshold issue? Meaning, will it still bump, I forget what it is now, 36,000 to 38? Will that still happen? So folks will have, even if you do this, there will be an increase for these employers who have to pay up to that next threshold level?
So we've always had in place the structure to increase the taxable wages. We've brought that down over time. There's a House version that does in fact hold that steady, and I can let Representative Haley talk about that. My goal is just to have a clean bill, and we can talk about the policy later.
So you better tell folks that even if you do this, they might still get a tax increase?
There'll still be a little bit of a tax increase that goes along with, just overall inflation, but we can certainly talk about the policy of reducing that once we get the debt paid off and the reserve brought back up to a sustainable level. Do you want to speak on that?
I can comment. It's not. Yeah, I think the technicalities of the language in the bill is something, as Senator Pratt said, that we can work on. We both, I think, have had conversations with the Commissioner of Deed as well. I talked with him on Friday, and we want the language to be as efficient as possible so that Deed can get this done and that there isn't a delay for businesses. So I'm committed to any technical changes that we need to make to accomplish that. Related to the taxable wage base, my bill does freeze it at the 2022 levels, which is 35,000. It is scheduled in current Minnesota statute to go up to 38,000, a 7% increase in 2022 if we don't do anything. And I don't believe that 7% increase is something that we need to do at this time, as we said before, when businesses are already struggling.
I'd like to add just one final thing, because I see someone here who I've exchanged Shakespearean quotes with over session. And this session, of course, the quote would be, "The Ides of March have come," and my reply would be, "And this bill is passed."
Senator Pratt, have you had any recent, new conversations with Speaker Wortman or your chair counterpart in the House about appetite for moving this as a clean bill? Because as Brianna referenced, Speaker Hortman has said she wants $1 billion for frontline workers, $1 billion for this, link them, do them both at once.
I believe Senator Miller's had some conversations with the Speaker. I've certainly been in contact for several months with Representative Knorr in the House, and so I'm hoping that we can move them more to our position.
This might get to the floor next week?
Right now, the plan is to get it to Finance, and then we'll move it to the floor, and I'll let Senator Miller talk about what the timing on that might be. But certainly the Senate's interested in getting this done quickly and moving it over to the House.
All right.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks, guys.